Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we're looking at a new rifle by SIG, the new SIG 716i Tread. Now, those of you who are familiar with the SIG Tread line, around 2018, 2019 time period, SIG came out with the Tread in the 5.56 millimeter. It was based off of their M400 series. The whole point of the Tread was for SIG to be able to introduce a rifle that would be more in line with your typical consumer prices. Of course, as you know, SIG is one of the higher end companies, so they tend to be the more higher end in price tags as well. So the original SIG Tread, we were looking probably around $1,200 in the wild. I think it was around $1,400. It was MSRP, but around $1,200. And the nice thing about the SIG Tread was it came with a whole bunch of other accessories as well. You could get all kinds of different specific tread optics and accessories for it. So if you were to compare, say, the SIG Tread, you're looking at probably $100 to $200 difference between a SIG Tread versus a standard M400 patrol model. And of course, the patrol model, you have a lot more benefits to the Tread by having the longer handguards, the M-lock, and so on and so forth. So you had a lot more benefits to it. So it was only a matter of time before you were expecting them to come out with a 308. And in 2020 SHOT Show, they introduced a SIG 17i Tread, which is what you see right here. And this also is sort of a big deal for SIG because this is their first internal piston 308. All the ones prior to that were all external piston. The SIG 716 line was all external piston. Now the rifle we see here, it very much mirrors its 5.56 counterpart, but on steroids. You have a lot of the same components that's on here, the same type of rails, the same type of stock assemblies, and it will take all the same accessories and optics and lasers and flashlights and so forth. Also, SIG has its own line of sound suppressors now, so you have various sound suppressor options for the SIG series, regardless of what family of weapons that you have. So we're going to jump right into this one. So we have an overall length of 37 inches, 8.5 pounds. So it's a relatively heavy barrel, so but it's still only 8 pounds for a 7.62 rifle, which is extremely light. And we're going to go over this from back to front. Looking at the stock assembly, we have the Magpul SLK6 stock assembly, relatively lightweight. We have no locking mechanism on this. We just have the standard lever. We have a 6-position receiver extension. This receiver extension is a specifically to a 308. As you can see, we have some additional length on here. This is the proper mil-spec type receiver extension for a 308. You have the extended length, and you can use a standard M4 type buffer system in here, and this happens to have an H2 in here, which is what this rifle's gassed for, and it's gassed perfectly for it. Lower receiver, upper receiver are both Sydney 75 T6 aircraft grade forgings. SIG has a very unique lower receiver where you see we have 2 QD detachment points on the rear of the receiver. We have an ambidextrous safety. We have an ambidextrous magazine release. Looking at the bolt release, we have a very nice bolt release. You have an extended paddle on here for you to engage the bolt catch. This has been on many of their rifles for years. It's an excellent upgrade. The ambidextrous magazine release, and we have the safety ambidextrous safety. We have an extended or oversized magazine release button as well. You can see the magazine well that we have here. We have a flared magazine well. The trigger guard is machined into the forging. As you see, we have the trigger guard, which is part of the receiver forging. It is oversized for use with gloves, hands. We have a proprietary SIG pistol grip. Actually, it's quite comfortable even for somebody like me with larger hands. And what we're going to open up the receiver, take a look in the inside. See, we have a black nitride coating on all the trigger mechanism. Taking a look at the buffer assembly. As we spoke before, you have a proper AR-10 receiver extension. As you can see, we have a flat recoil spring, and we have a standard H2 M4 type buffer. Again, for a proper military rifle, one particularly you could make selective fire if you so chose, it would still function properly by having the proper amount of weights in there. The rifle also comes with an AccuWedge wedge to keep these receivers tight. These receivers are as tight as can be. They're not going anywhere. They don't move at all. And we can see a closer look up at the ambidextrous safety. Again, the bolt catch. So we have a very unique lower receiver here, and SIGs always have been. Looking at the upper receiver, we have a 15-inch free-floating handguard, and we can see that this is M-lock, and I put on the Manta rail protector covers for the M-lock, which, as you guys know, who watch my channel, I am extremely fond of. Looking at the upper receiver, you'll see that we have a forward assist, we have mil-spec type charging handle, and we have our bolt carrier group. We'll go over that in a moment. Now the barrel we have is a 16-inch. It's a nitride. It's a 1 in 10-inch twist. SIG has done a lot with nitride over the last several years. We have a rifle-length gas system on here, and also the front sight base, or gas block, is drilled and pinned, which is another excellent feature we talk about on a regular basis for a military-grade rifle. That's going to ensure you a degree of reliability that you just can't guarantee without it. The gas block is what's referred to as a micro-light drilled and pinned gas block. Looking at the bolt carrier group, we do have a standard AR-10 type bolt carrier group, but SIG has their own flare on it. You can see a lot of weight's been removed from it. Again, black nitride coated. You have an excellent system with 2 ejectors. 2 ejectors you're seeing a lot on rifles nowadays because, again, you have to overgas rifles because of the use of poor quality ammunition with lower port pressures. This assists on ejecting. Those of you who reload, you're going to be going a lot farther to pick up your brass cartridge cases, which is for sure. But this is a benefit you're seeing on many of the higher-end rifles you're seeing now with the dual ejectors. Now, the optic I chose on here was a SIG optic. It was a 1:6:24. This is an ideal optic for this rifle. As many of you may or may not know, SIG has their own line of optics and ammunition. And this particular optic has been adopted by the U.S. military for these various different rifles for SOCOM use. This is an illuminated reticle, 1:6. We do have the lever on here as well to make it easier for adjustment. And you even have fiber optics on here to make it a lot easier for you to see in all different types of light. It's on a Geisley mount. Geisley mount is probably one of the best mounts in the world. The only one I probably think is better than Geisley is I am a big fan of Spur. I think Spur makes the finest mounts in the world, but I'd definitely put Geisley in at number 2. Definitely relatively expensive. We're going to take this to the range and we're going to see how it's going to shoot. The first cartridge we test fired was 650 grain full metal jacket elite performance ammunition. We had a muzzle velocity of 26.98 feet per second, a high of 27.22, low of 26.55, a standard deviation of 26.2. The next one we had was the SIG Elite Performance Ammunition, the 168 grain open tip match. We had an average velocity of 24.69 feet per second with a high of 24.88, low of 24.32, spread of 5.6. With a deviation of 25.4. And the last one that we had was the 175 grain OTM with a average velocity of 2,507 feet per second, high of 25.14, low of 24.96, spread of 18, a standard deviation of 8.3. The best group that we got was shot by Henry Chan from Nine Hole Review. It was a 1.8-inch group with the 175 grain OTM, which you generally tend to find the 175s are shoot best in these rifles, and 168s as well, but I tend to get the best out of the M18 LR type ammunition. Overall, I find the 7.16 iTred to be an incredible rifle. For a starter rifle or for a basic rifle, this is an excellent one at a good price. With the SIG optics, you get a one-shot stop with the optics, the rifle, as well as the ammunition. I think this rifle is going to be quite popular as well as the SIG Tred 5.56 has been. We hope to see in the future some of these rifles coming out in some different calibers, some different configurations, but you always keep in mind that you have the SIG Tred accessories for optics and whatnot that you can add to this rifle. Now, of course, it being a standard rifle, you can add any stock, any handguard, anything that you would want to it. It's a very versatile rifle. So we do hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share. Thank you.